Hi, in this video I'll take you through the checkout by email feature for the responsive base gallery, and I'll also show you how to configure it later on in the video. But for now I'll show you some demos of the gallery feature and how you can configure it in different ways. So the checkout by email feature has three main modes that it works in. There's a client approval mode, a full shop mode, and an order mode, which excludes prices. So the demo here shows the checkout by email feature using the approval mode. This basically sets the feature to just allow the end user to go through the gallery, selecting photos just by simply adding them to a list. So your user can go through the photos, creating a list from the gallery. So in this example here, I've taken some photos for a theatre group, so they may wish to be approving these photos, going through the gallery, and they may wish to give some feedback on some photos. This feature would allow them to select the photos, review the approval list here, then once they're happy they can go to the checkout, fill in their details, and in the additional details they could put comments saying that they may wish for these photos to be processed in black and white, or anything else similar to that, and then request the order, would send an email to myself, and they'd receive a copy of it as well, giving these details filled in here in the form, and details of the photos selected in the approval list. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what the approval mode can do. The next demo shows the full shop mode. The customer can view your gallery, select different formats with the price next to them, and select different quantities and add them to their shopping cart. So if I go through here, adding in examples, and then once you go and view the cart, you can see a list of everything that I've ordered. Optionally, you can add tax and postage. These are configurable in Lightroom, so they can affect the end total. Also, please note that all checkout by email features have the ability to use cookies to store your items in your shopping cart. So if the user closes the browser or comes back to it at a later date, these items will be saved in here until they complete the checkout. So once your user's happy with all the items they've added in their cart, they can go to checkout, fill in this form here, adding their name and email, which is mandatory, and then request the order. So once this is done, they'll receive an email, and so will you, about all these items in this form and all the photos that they've ordered in the cart, and a breakdown of all the quantities in different formats. So you can then reply to them and process their order and collect payment. So the actual gallery doesn't collect payment, it's down to you to choose which method you want to use for that. I maybe recommend something like requesting a payment via PayPal and sending them a link via that. But the actual gallery itself only processes the actual order but doesn't collect payment. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the full shop mode works. This final demo shows the order mode for the checkout by email feature. So this is very similar to the full shop mode, but it excludes prices. An application for this might be that you've created a wedding package for your client and you've told them that they can select a certain number of prints at different sizes, so they could then go through their wedding photos, selecting a certain number of prints at the certain sizes, and then send it for you to process. Likewise, you could also use this to allow wedding guests to create a collection of prints that they'd like to be created, and then you can get back to them with a quote once they've created their order. It works very similar to the full shop mode, but it just excludes the prices. So in this section I'll cover how to configure the checkout by email feature. I'll also put a link in the description on the documentation for this as well. Please note that this guide also works for the demo version. Apart from this, file name will be different, with demo written after the base. To get started with, you want to navigate to the installation path of the responsive base gallery. I'll put links for both Windows and Mac OS on how to navigate to these paths if you're unsure. And please note that on Mac OS, once you find the LR Web Engine file, you need to right click it and go to Show Package Contents. You'll then be able to go to the Resources folder, then the Email folder, and then there you'll be able to find the email-config.php file, which you'll need to edit in a text editor. So the reason that we're editing the installation file is that it'll save you having to do this every time you export a gallery in Lightroom. When you edit this file here, all the configuration will be saved. So when you export from Lightroom, this configuration will apply to every gallery exported from it. When you open the config file, the first thing you need to edit is the API keys. You need to add your own here. So go to the Mailjet website where you can sign up for their service, which will enable us to send the emails. I've got some screenshots here from when I created my account. Once you've put in your email address and created a password, you're presented with this screen where you need to put these credentials in. Please make sure you have a web domain to host your web gallery on and add it here. Then once this is completed, you'll be then sent an email to activate your account. Please check your email account and then click the activation link. Then once you click it, you'll be navigated to this page. You need to make sure you click on the Config My SMTP Relay or the Send API section of the screen over here, because this will then navigate you to this section. So you'll be sending transactional emails, which just means there'll be the order emails sent from the web gallery. Here you'll be presented with your API keys, so you need to copy and paste the keys added here. I've just blurred out mine because they only applied to me, so make sure you copy and paste the ones that are relevant to you and add them to that section in the config file here. You'll notice before this you've got some other steps as well. So you need to edit your sender domain and address. When you click on this on step 2, you need to add your domain that you wish to send from. So in my case that would be redrex.co.uk. Once you add that there, you'll be asked to put a text file on your web hosting to validate that, so make sure you do that. And you'll also need to validate the email addresses you want to send from, which you'll be sent an email to click a validation link to confirm that you own that email address. Once you go back to this screen, you've also got an additional step 3. This is optional, but this will also enable you to have a better reputation when sending emails. If I go to that screen, you'll be sent for these authentication settings. So click Manage, and then you're presented with this screen. It might seem daunting at first, but this is the DNS records that you can add to your web domain to validate it. This just increases the reputation and the chances that you won't be put in junk folders when you send. It just validates that your email address and the domain you're sending from can actually be sent from the Mailjet system. If you follow the instructions here on adding the DNS records, they've also got user guides for popular hosting platforms on how to do that as well. And if you are unsure on how to navigate this once you log into the account and you don't get that screen, which is under the transactional section, just make sure you go to the drop down here and go to My Account, and then you can click on the Add Sender Domain Address there to get to that settings, or to get your API keys again, click on the SMTP and Send API settings here to enable that. Once you've done that, you'll have all the right credentials for that section there. The next section is the time zone. So this allows you to create a timestamp which will be your order reference. So if you'd like to change the time zone, please go to this URL here where you can find the relevant text to add here for your time zone in the world. The rest of the config file is changing the text in the email and adjusting the configuration of the emails. Hopefully everything here is self-explanatory in what's in the email. The only thing to take note of is this section is what's returned when you successfully complete the checkout, so your order ID is returned and this text here, please just make sure you edit the text between the double quote marks and that you don't take out that order ID, otherwise that won't work correctly. Also, please note the from email address here and here should be the email address you added in this section here and validated. Otherwise, if you don't use that email address, then it won't send correctly. And lastly, for the recipients here, please make sure you add your own email address. This is the one that you want to receive your orders for. Please make sure you change this, otherwise you won't be informed of the orders. Going over the Mailjet service again. So this is the actual live website on my account. The benefit of using the Mailjet system is that it also tracks when emails are sent, delivered, if they're blocked, if there's any issues with them. The free account entitles you to 200 free emails to be sent a day and a maximum of 6,000 a month. So that should be more than enough for most people. So that will entitle you to 100 orders a day on your web gallery. But if you are going over that, you can sign up for an additional account where it's, I believe, £5 a month for a few thousand more emails to be sent. So it should be more than enough for most people, but if there is the need there, you can upgrade for a small fee. So once you've edited and saved that config file, you need to head over to Lightroom, and in there, in the web section, I'd recommend starting with the checkout by email template. I'll put a link in the description now if you're unsure of how to install these templates that came with the gallery. The first section in the gallery settings, where you can edit stuff relating to the checkout by email feature, is in the site info section. Scroll down about halfway and you'll see a heading with checkout by email. Here you can change all the labels and all the button text to how you wish, but one important bit is the products. So the ones that are listed here, please note, because this is responsive, that this is viewing it in a kind of tablet mode. If we extend the screen from more of a desktop view, then you see it as I demoed earlier. For the products, you see here they're listed as such. If you want to edit this or remove any, just please make sure that you start the ID with 0 and you keep to this formatting shown in the example here, and you can add as many products as you want to that list. Please also note in this section you can edit the tax value and the postage value that appears in the cart panel here at the checkout process. So you can adjust these values, so the percentage here, which is represented there, and the postage value, which is here. Following on from this, in the appearance section, you have the show header option. Please make sure this is enabled if you wish to use the checkout by email feature, otherwise your user won't be able to complete the checkout process as the link to it is in the actual header. Then finally, in the appearance section, you have this checkout by email settings panel here. Please make sure that's checked to enable the feature, and then you have the 3 different modes there which I showed in the demos. Then up next are the phone address and additional details fields, so you can choose to not have them displayed, and additionally you can hide the tax and postage and subtotal values there as well. And if you omit these from the actual web gallery, they also don't get included in the emails as well. So that concludes the checkout by email features in Lightroom. So once you're happy with everything that you've set up here, then you're ready to export the gallery and host it on your web hosting. Next I'll show a real example of it emailing. Going back to the full shop demo, I've populated the cart with some photos and populated the fields in the checkout section. Please note in the demos, I'll put a link in the description to these, that when you populate the email address, this will receive both the customers and the sellers' emails to give you an example of what they receive, and this has been specially set up for these demos. If I complete the checkout process, I'll receive an order number, and now if I check my emails, as I can see I've received both the customer and seller's emails. So if I click into the seller's email, I'll see the order that I've received here with all the details, and likewise for the customer one, they can receive all their details there. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of how the checkout by email feature works. I'd advise you to check out these demos to get a good idea of the ins and outs of them. Also, please download the free demo. I'll provide a link in the description to that, so you can test if your web hosting platform supports the requirements of this feature as well. Okay, thanks for watching.